All right, so the fourth unit in our personal characteristics module is about leadership. We talked a little bit about leadership in our last lesson, but again, just a reminder, the ability or skill to encourage people to work together and do their best to achieve a common goal. If we look at the statement that people tend to make, leaders are born, this really is a myth. Leaders develop because of their own efforts. They work hard and they get to a position where they're in charge or where they're leading a group of others. So anyone really has the potential to be a leader. Furthermore, when we look at a group setting, anybody who makes a contribution is considered a leader. Ideally, the leadership is going to pass from person to person because everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. So if our group has a section we're working on math, and that is not my strong suit, I'm going to pass that leadership role to someone who can do a better job leading the group in that math section. When we look at some of the functions of leaders, we want to make sure we define clear goals, make sure everybody in the group knows those goals, help and provide information that people need so that we can work towards the goals. Then as we work through everything that we're doing towards our goals, we're going to make sure we review what our progress is, make any changes, and then help the group achieve the goals, which is obviously our ultimate achievement. As we said, since people aren't born leaders, all of these characteristics are things that can be learned. None of these are inherited traits. So learning to be respectful in a way that we're respecting the rights, dignity, opinions, and abilities of other people. Ideally, we understand the principles of democracy. We're going to talk about a couple different types of leaders, and some of them are not very democratic, but ideally, we're working with the principles of a democratic leadership. You help inspire and motivate other people, so you encourage them to do their best. Participate in some continuing education so that you are always on top of what's going on, things are changing, new developments. And I think one that's extremely important is making sure you understand your own strengths and weaknesses. I know where I'm weak and where I should step aside. So let's talk about democratic, laissez-faire, and autocratic leaders. Democratic leaders are going to be those that encourage everybody to participate, everybody to be part of the decision, and everybody to be part of the problem-solving method. This type of leader is going to listen to other people's opinions. They're going to make decisions based on what's best for the group, and they're going to help lead individuals in our group to a solution so that the group takes responsibility for solving the problem. Our laissez-faire leaders are our more informal leaders. They're the ones that are going to have very few, if any, rules or regulations, basically the bare minimum of what's required for rules or regulations. Everybody in the group kind of works on their own. They're pretty hands-off. They only want to make decisions when they absolutely have to. And this term itself tends to come from the French idiom that means to let alone. So they really are hands-off leaders. The final type we're going to talk about are our autocratic leaders. A lot of times these are called our dictators. They work to maintain total rule, which means they make all the decisions. They don't share or delegate any duties. They don't care about other people's opinions. They focus on discipline and expect that you follow directions all the time. So we tend to see that people follow this type of leader more out of fear than out of actual dedication or extreme loyalty. So someone like Hitler, where people followed him pretty much for fear or because they were extremely loyal to his cause. There are some different theories that come up when we talk about leadership. So we have charismatic leaders that have a vision. They see what's going to come. They're not really on board with the status quo or the way things have been, and they want to change it. They do that by building up the confidence and inspiring other people. They are willing to use some out of the box methods to help achieve the change they're hoping for. And these charismatic folks may tend to have relatively strong and self confident personalities. We've all been around someone who's extremely self confident, and we notice that they tend to influence us a little bit more because of that personality that they have. Non charismatic leaders, just on the complete opposite, they're satisfied with the way things are. They have no desire to change anything. I don't want your opinion because I'm okay with what's going on. And the current situation is the best one, and I'm okay with it. Let's talk about why we don't need to change it. Our transformational leaders, so they also want to change things, but they're telling you what's wrong. So, a vision of a new plan of action. What are we going to change? We may see these people described as inspirational, charismatic. Someone like Dr. Martin Luther King would fall in this category. They have goals that we need to achieve. We want other people to look away from what's working for them and look at the group as a whole. So maybe it doesn't affect you, but look at how it affects the group. We are believing in people, showing some sensitivity to their needs, encouraging people to work in teams, as well as be committed to help create that change that we're aiming for, and encourage people to really be able to fulfill their own potential. Our stewardship leaders are more concentrated on serving the needs of others. So I don't want to change things to make it better for me. I don't want to control you. I want to make things better for other people. So we are encouraging people to really make their decisions, grow personally and professionally with a big focus on things like respect and honesty. They're going to be the ones that are going to listen to other people's opinions. We've seen for the last few types of or theories of leadership, we've talked about people that come into it with a goal, and we want people to get on board with our goal. Whereas here, we're listening to what other people have to say and basing our goals or our formulation of our goals off of them. So we're going to be really more the negotiator or the supporter versus the person that's leading this idea for change. So yes, much shorter than what we've talked about in the past, but just keep in mind all of these different types of leadership do have advantages and disadvantages. There are going to be rare situations where an autocratic leader may be most beneficial. So for instance, in the classroom, you got a class that's just out of control, it might actually be most beneficial to have that my rules are my rules, you must follow them, there is no room for negotiation. Otherwise, things might get a little out of control. Usually, we're looking, like we said, to have a more democratic standpoint, especially when we're leading a group. But overall, we're just going to base it on the situation. So that's it for leadership. We will get into stress and time management. Those are going to be our last two things for this unit. So if you have any questions, please just let me know.